嘘をつき、自分自身を欺く。だが死者は違う。死者は雄弁だが、彼らは決して嘘をつかない。死者の言葉にはつつましさがある。
Saburo Arasaka, the biggest corporate overlord that has ever existed in this universe. At the age of 158, Saburo Arasaka was still viewed as a god, and with all of the issues his corporation had, including full-blown wars, he still managed to maintain a firm grip over the company, destroying everyone and everything who got into the way of progress. But how did he rise to the power he has today? Saburo was born in 1919 in Tokyo, Japan. His father, Sasai Arasaka, already owned the Arasaka company, but at that time it wasn't even close to the size it has today. The Arasaka Corp then was tied to the military industry during the World War II in Japan. And Saburo himself was a really proud man. Descending from the samurai lines, Saburo knew fighting from the early age. During World War II, he joined the Imperial Japanese Army and became a fighter pilot, and a damn good one. Even though he was at the start of his career, he already had 20 confirmed kills and was well respected. But during one of the fights he engaged over Guadalcanal, an American F-4F fighters intercepted the Japanese, dealing huge losses. Now Saburo during that fight already took down one plane, but as he was going for a second target, another F-4F Wildcat had him locked in, and even though he wasn't completely destroyed, a barrage of bullets went through his plane and directly into him. Saburo was gravely wounded, his left arm was completely shattered, he had metal which bounced off the plane and ended up in his left eye and skull. This is why Saburo is lacking one eye. Now Saburo, gravely wounded, managed to stabilize his fighter with only 2,000 feet to spare, and after that he went straight to his commander to report on the situation, and only after that did Saburo allow himself to pass out and be taken to the hospital. This entire time, as he was dinged up, missing his left arm and an eye, he didn't want to quit the mission until the job was done. But after Saburo was admitted to the hospital, they told him that he will never be able to operate a fighter plane ever again, which devastated him, because being a proud man, he would rather die for his emperor than to quit, and now he was lacking one arm and he couldn't see through his left eye. On August 1st, 1945 though, the emperor started a broadcast surrendering and Japan officially lost the war. Saburo was devastated. He was really close to committing suicide when he got an idea that Japan in the future might not be strong with military but commercially. That's when Saburo started studying politics, economy and history that went on until 1960. And because Saburo's father Sasai was a smart man who had seen the fall of Japan is coming, he managed to get a lot of money overseas, which Saburo used when he rose to power. And this is exactly what happened. Sasai Arasaka died in 1960 and Saburo became the CEO of Arasaka. That's when he started to reorganize everything, getting more money back from overseas. Saburo knew that there is one thing that is most important resource he can have, and that is information. Information and data was what is going to catapult his company into the stars. So what he did to get that info is form Arasaka Security Division, which is going to specialize in protection services but also Black Ops operations all around the world with only one goal: to get as much info as possible. He also realized that technology is the future and he focused a lot on developing the latest tech, which is going to be useful for him but also provide services to others. After that time, the security part of the company became extremely powerful. By 1990s, Arasaka Security was as strong as Arasaka Bank and Arasaka Manufacturing, so slowly but surely Saburo was expanding the influence of Arasaka Corp into all aspects of human lives. And if you think Saburo isn't competent yet, keep in mind, during 1996, collapse happened in the US, which basically crashed everything: the stock market, economy, healthcare, agriculture. Basically, US was completely destroyed and devastated. And Saburo saw that, so he managed to steer his company in a way to be one of the few which actually profited from the crash and made him even more powerful and rich. After that, Arasaka Security started moving into paramilitary contracts, and slowly but surely, security turned into an actual army. So now you have a CEO of the corporation who is a Japanese imperialist with an army. What could go wrong? That's when he started going for his competition, of course. Those were smaller corporations that had hostile takeover. If you won't join Arasaka, you might as well burn. And by the year 2020, Arasaka became one of the most powerful corporations out there, along with Militech and the rest. But this made Saburo one of the richest people on planet Earth, but he never cared too much about the money. You see, for Saburo, money was all about achieving control, and the return of the Imperial Japan was the ultimate task. By making a Goliath of a company, he was getting closer. And he used everything to his advantage. Going from Arasaka banking, he would find companies which needed loans and were struggling, and more information you provide, the better deal will be, of course, when you do it. Expect them to extract every bit of information though they could, so if you do sign with Arasaka, you are probably screwed. And there is a quote from the Cyberpunk book, and it says this: Arasaka already has more financial power in the industrialized world than any other single corporation. If it weren't for other corporate alliances arrayed against it, it might be the single most powerful factor in 2020. And it truly was. The tactical genius such as Saburo Arasaka catapulted his company into the top with his firm grip and ruthlessness. And Arasaka had their fingers in everything, and most of the politicians were on their payroll, so they could pretty much do whatever they want. And Saburo used that to the fullest extent. Of course, in 2020, Saburo was 101 years old, and you ask how and why? Well, Saburo was into tech. His R&D department created some of the most unique and advanced weapons, armor, tanks, aircrafts, and cybernetics that can pretty much make you alive forever, and with almost an infinite amount of money, of course you will keep yourself alive. In 2020 though, Saburo goes into the shadows, letting his own son Kei Arasaka manage the company. But don't be fooled, even if it's 2020 or 2077, Saburo is still the leader of Arasaka and everything goes through him. Now after that, Arasaka was engulfed in a deadly fourth corporate war, which pretty much turned the whole world against Saburo and his company. And as the years went on and the time of the Red started and basically Arasaka surrendered after the war, they regained their strength really fast, because due to this illusion that Saburo lost power, you had somewhat of a civil war break out in the corporation, but Saburo still maintained the power. Now at that time, Arasaka was shunned in the world and they didn't really have that much power, but in 2070, as United States government wanted to reclaim the free cities, or well, part of the country which separated from the government, you had a huge US army right in front of Night City. Then Lucius Rhine, the mayor of Night City, decided to turn to Arasaka for help. Because Night City is a corporate city after all, and within days an Arasaka supercarrier came into the bay, so the US army had to retreat and ruled that Night City is going to stay as a free city. So Saburo's grip was so strong that the US military, which at that time of course wasn't as strong, retreated and left Night City as it is. But keep in mind, as I said, the US army was kinda devastated with all of the wars and basically the continent being devastated, so they didn't have the manpower or the tech to fight against every single corporation, even though they're kinda strong. Now, a lot of events happen in 2077 which are connected to Saburo, which I'm not going to talk about to avoid spoilers in the game for now. But next time you happen to see Saburo in the game, keep in mind that he is a living legend in the corpo world, and he will always be the biggest corpo to ever live in this universe. So this is everything we have for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the history and the lore of Saburo Arasaka. If you want to see more, consider subscribing and clicking the like button, because it does help a lot. And also tell me down below what do you think about Saburo Arasaka. Also join our growing community on Twitter and Discord, and I do have a Patreon page. If you were looking for an extra way to support the channel, you can do it through the link below, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.